conference sometime this week. But
it sounds, if I'm right, I thought I heard something at some type of board meeting, like board of trustees meeting at, this evening or something as early as tonight could come out. And it sounds like potentially a suspension. It sounds like some of the things that come back may not be as quite what they thought, to the degree that they thought, or they didn't know as much as maybe we assumed they knew, things like that.
It's a mess.
Yeah. And I will say this about Ohio State. Obviously, Urban Meyer's a superstar in college football and has been for a long time. I've had an opportunity to get to know Ryan Day, who's become the interim at Ohio State, and is a guy that I consider to be as good of a quarterback mind in college football as there is. And so they're in good hands, and they obviously have great players. But when you surround a program with that type of controversy, you think that there's got to be some distractions to some degree, and how well they get over those things will be interesting.
Yeah, it definitely would be interesting to see kind of how they're handling it, because obviously the media has more access to, those athletes than what we deal with, and then they have less than they do in the pros. So, but the media are still around those guys, and they have to be asking those kids questions or saying, and ultimately, you're talking about kids that are 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. How are they handling that? I don't care how good of a leader you have in front of you. Some of that is going to get to you at some point.
That's really tough. That's really tough. It's like all they're talking about.
They
talk about that more than the beginning of the season. It's crazy.
It's definitely not what you want, a week before you're going to play a game, no matter who you're going to line up and play.
Because Urban's probably second next to Saban, right? Maybe. Like right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd say, he's definitely up there.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of my team to watch that I'm going to throw out there. It's not like I'm going out on a limb, but I like Clemson. I was reading an article today about their D-line and coaching D-line. If your D-line can be disruptive, then, you can do some good things on defense, especially with if those 3 or 4 guys can make the offense change what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, all 2 of those guys had the opportunity to go to the NFL draft and decided to come back to school one more year. Obviously, they've won a national championship. Dabo Swinney's done a great job there, and so I'm gonna kind of go. I think they're gonna be right there. They were in the playoff last year.
They've been good, and that program's been good for a while. Because you just always see guys getting drafted out of Clemson, and they would win, and they would whatever, but they never could get over that hump. And now they've hit that, they've cleared it.
Yeah.
They're taking off.
I think the biggest thing with them is Clemson's. I agree with you 100%. I think Clemson's been able to always manufacture talent. They haven't always manufactured great teams, and I think Dabo Swinney has changed that culture. And I think that they've fed off of each other, and they've forced each other into success on both sides of the ball, and not individual success. Even as recent as Deshaun Watson and the type of player he was, part of what allows you to succeed on a big stage is that it's not too big for you. Now, I think it takes special people like a Deshaun Watson to pull that off, but it also takes special leadership to be able to put you in a position and simulate some of those hard moments that allow you, when those lights are on, that you're able to perform. And the ability to kind of control that locker room and control that culture, I think, is super impressive from Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, and obviously the question at quarterback that you mentioned is, kind of a huge question mark. I'm a big believer in that position. You have to have the guy that your team is looking to. I think defensive guys play harder when they believe in that guy. I think offensive guys play harder when they believe in that guy. You're around a lot of quarterbacks. Is that something that you've always tried to instill in them too? Like, they've got to be that guy everybody can look to.
100%. There's so many things that happen throughout the course of a game, throughout the course of a day. You don't always know what's going on inside of your locker room on a day-to-day basis. Forget what's going on the field. And I think it's those guys that kind of can compartmentalize the idea of this is football and this is my escape and the things that are going on around us don't matter and this is what we're focused on. And so I think the ability to have a guy that can hyper-focus on his job, and especially at the quarterback position, allows you to take that next step. You can't, in my opinion, in big-time college football, you can't win with just a regular guy at quarterback. And you can say, as much as you can say, well, Georgia got to the national championship with a true freshman. Well, Jake Fromm's not a normal guy.
Yeah. I agree on that.
You can say the same about, Alabama makes it to a national championship with, a less than 60% completion percentage passer at quarterback. But the things that Jalen Hurts, what is he, 25-2 as a starter?
Yeah.
And I know that it took Tua coming in and rallying them and bringing them back. It's kind of like the sixth man coming off the bench and giving you a spark in basketball.
Yeah.
But I do think that if you ask, I think that's why we haven't heard who's the starter, is because I do think that there's people in that locker room that would follow either one of them, and they're trying to make the decision that's best for that football team. And sometimes the guy that can handle the pressure of being the quarterback at Alabama that can say, really all I have to do right here is not screw up. I can't take risks. I have to be smart. I have to take my check down. I have to put us in a better run play. We have to kick the ball on every possession, whether it be an extra point, a field goal, or sometimes even a punt to pin them back and let the best defense in the country play and set us up, flip the field. I think those are things that sometimes your guy at quarterback have to understand their limitations, and sometimes those are hard things to do that not everybody can handle, and then that's when you see errant throws and poor decisions because they're trying to make a play when really all they had to do was take a check down and punt the ball and go play defense again and then take your next chance when you get it,
Yeah, I know you're not a big pro guy, but, I felt like, that was your Alex Smith here in Kansas City the last 2 years, and what he did in San Francisco is, he wasn't going to make that big mistake that cost you the game.
Yep.
He's a leader.
He might not make that big throw that's going to win you the game, but – He's not going to make that big mistake.
Yeah, and I think, sitting in Kansas City and comparing notes on, what Alex Smith has been able to do in his career, and this, I think this is that topic that will fire people up, but it's kind of one of those things where you're like be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Because the amount of success that Alex Smith had here, was impressive. And we're going to see a guy with a little bit or a lot more of a gunslinger mentality that he's going to make throws that Alex never thought about making. We've already seen it in the preseason. But he's also going to make throws that Alex would have never made that are going to cost you, potentially cost you games on the wrong side of it because of the inexperience and because of that mentality of being able to just cut it loose at any time. And, for me as a Chiefs fan too, I am willing to live with the consequences of having Patrick Mahomes because since I've been alive, I don't remember us going after and really taking a risk in the draft and saying we're going after a franchise quarterback.
Yeah,
and so that part of it for me is exciting just as a fan.
I don't remember having a quarterback on the roster like that we drafted that had this high of a ceiling. Well, but Mahomes' ceiling is crazy. Like we drafted like Murray, we had Bray, those guys. The ceilings for them weren't. Mahomes is physically like a specimen.
The thing that's scary, I think, when you talk about ceiling, is I think of Alex Smith and I go, yeah, his ceiling isn't as high, but the floor's higher.
It's pretty close.
And so I do think it'll be awesome to watch it. Now, I think if there's anybody that can do it, I think Andy Reid can reel a guy in. And clearly have put weapons around him to where he can, we're going to take more shots just off the fact that we're going to put guys out there that can fly, And so as far as being able to play callers that are adapting their personnel, well, just with this personnel alone, regardless of who's at quarterback, you've got to take more shots, Yeah. And so I think that obviously Mahomes is the guy that's cut out to make those throws. So I think it'll be a little bit of both. I think we're going to see some crazy comebacks that you can't believe that he tried to fit that in there, and he did, and we reap the benefits from it. And then I think there's going to be times where man, if we would have just thrown it away, we probably, we might win that game or, whatever. But I think if you're trying to take it over the hump and you say, we can't get conservative in a playoff game with Patrick Mahomes because it's just not in his blood, then I think you have the chance to make sure that you beat the Tennessee Titans at a home playoff game and put you in position to play the Steelers or the Patriots or whatever. And lately we just haven't been able to get to that position.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I've said on the show before, I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan, but, I feel like some Chiefs fans are like, oh, this guy's the savior. And I'm like, whoa, let's not say he's the savior yet. Let's, he's never taken a meaningful snap in a regular season game.
No, on this team, I wouldn't say, like, this team didn't need, like, a savior. We just a little bit more. Team's good.
But it has generated excitement around the Chiefs with the change.
Last 5 years.
I mean, I'm all for it.
It's I think of it kind of like the run that the Royals had, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go get Johnny Cueto, you go get Zobrist, you're all in on, while we have this core group of guys, of putting the best pieces around it to go win a World Series, and it worked. And so 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, if we sit back and go, man, but it was so worth it. That year where he struggled and went 25 and threw 15 picks, and we went 9-7 and, or 8-8 or whatever it may be. If you get that one where you go 13-3 and, Brady's, you got to think Brady at some point is going to start to taper off a little bit, and you can knock them off, and you take that next step, then all of us will be sitting here going, oh, totally worth it.
Oh, I agree. I think he'll get there. But all right, well, thanks again, Coach, for coming on the show this week. I think we'll kind of wrap it up there with the little Chiefs talk, hometown team.
Yep.
So thanks again for being on the show. You want to throw out your Twitter and for yourself, for your Spin It Quarterback, and how people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, pretty easy to get a hold of me. It's Instagram and Twitter both are just at Coach Hoover. And thanks, guys, for having me. Awesome. Love talking ball, and anytime I can jump on here, enjoy just taking the time for some guys sitting around talking ball. So.
Oh, yeah. Any time. You guys know our Twitter is at Midwest Mikes. The SME football, if you want to kind of follow the season, is SME_football on Twitter. All of our social media is under Midwest Mikes. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, all of it. It's all on there. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.